Hi guys, this is Catherine. I'm here to do a recap of my 2020 planner and journaling system and also give you guys an update on my 2021 planner and journaling system. I decided to combine the two videos because I wanted to show you guys what I started out with this year and how my planner and journaling system have changed over this year and how I'm transitioning into 2021 so you guys can see the difference or similarities between the two systems. So how I'm going to approach this video is the first part of this video, I'm going to talk about my planner system for both 2020 and 2021 and talk about how that has changed and evolved throughout the year. And the second part of this video, I'm going to be talking about my journaling system for 2020 and then also give you guys an update on 2021. And at the end of this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about my planner routine and how I'm going to go about using all of my planners, because I do get a lot of questions as to how I plan, how I journal, and also how much time I spend on maintaining sort of all the notebooks. So since I have already started using some of the notebooks and planners in December, because a lot of the planners actually start in December of the previous year, I am able to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about how that's working out and how my new system is working out. So the first part of this video, I'm going to be talking about my planners, like I said. So let's just do a quick recap of 2020. So in 2020, when I started this year, if you watch my planners set up for 2020, you would have seen that I started out with my A6 bullet journal. So this is a Nanami notebook that I have used as my bullet journal, and this is the same exact system that I've used in 2019. So this is my 2019 bullet journal, also an A6. This is a Stylogy notebook, and this is from Nanami Paper Co. So Nanami Paper Co. actually uses Tomoe River paper, and at the time when I purchased this was the old Tomoe River paper, so it had 480 pages in this tiny notebook, whereas the Stylogy only has 385 pages or 86 pages. So that's also why I decided to go with the Nanami, because I felt like this was not enough. There weren't enough pages in this notebook for me to last a whole year. So I started out this year using my Nanami Paper Co. notebook as a bullet journal, and I really enjoyed that. And as I'm flipping through this, I still really miss this. I loved drawing out my own layout, formatting my planner exactly the way I wanted. But I also craved something that already had dates in it. So I did go ahead and purchase the Hobonichi Weeks. And part of the reason why I bought this was also because at the beginning of this year, I said that I wanted to try out all the different types of notebooks and then all the different types of planners as well, to really kind of test my system and see if there's something that's even better for me, even though my system was working out all right. So that's why I bought the Hobonichi Weeks, and I just really have come to love this little notebook. This is so compact, and I purchased this with the intention of using this as a pre-planner. So that's how I was using it at the beginning of this year. But at the beginning of this year, my life wasn't so complicated. I had a regular 9-to-5 job. My family things weren't like so complicated. So my side businesses were not really a real thing yet. They were just more like a hobby business. So I didn't really need to use this that much. But I did purchase this as a pre-planner, and I'll go a little bit more into it later. And then, so I was using my A6 and Hobonichi Weeks at the beginning of this year as planners. And I also had a work planner that strictly stayed at work, and that was just a wide size. So for those of you who don't know wide, I think it's just A5 slim size. And I had a traveler's notebook style journal with different notebooks slided into it, representing a different aspects of my work. So that's what I was using at work. So what you're not seeing here is my work planner that strictly stayed at work. And in addition to that, at home, I did have an A5 size blank notebook, but eventually I changed it out to a Hobonichi Cousin just because I wanted to test it out. I wanted to test out the size. I wanted to test out the planner because I heard really good things about it. Obviously, everybody loves Hobonichi Cousin, so I did purchase it too. So at the beginning of this year, it kind of makes sense for me to keep the Hobonichi Cousin at home, and the A6 would just come with me to work, and this contained all of the personal to-do list and all of that good stuff. At the time, I didn't really like mixing work with personal because I don't know, I just didn't feel comfortable doing that, and I didn't want people to look over to see what was in my planner as I'm showing them something related to work. So that's why. And that's also the reason why I struggled with using my Hobonichi Cousin at the beginning of this year, because I wasn't able to go into it until I finished work. So the majority of the time, I don't even have this open. I don't have access to it. So it was really hard for me to put it to good use. And I didn't really want to journal in it either because I already had a personal journal, which I'll show you in the journaling portion of this video. Anyways, so I started out this year with the A6 bullet journal that was strictly for personal uses, and I had a Hobonichi week sitting at home for pre-planning. So now, come March, we were forced to stay at home because of COVID, and I started using the A6 bullet journal less and less, and instead I used my Hobonichi Cousin to replace that functionality, because this was great because it's so portable, but I actually do prefer a much larger size to use as a planner. So that's why I prefer the Hobonichi Cousin. So I started using that, and it worked out fine, but still I was doing work from 9 to 5, so I didn't really have much to write in it during the day. And then just like quickly forward a little bit to June, I did decide to quit my job, my 9 to 5 job, and decided to focus fully on my personal passion and my side businesses. I started working really hard to make them a real thing. And also I did want to spend more time with my son, because during the quarantine I realized how much I was missing out with my son when I used to go to work from 9 to 5, because there's also commuting time to New York and all of that. So I did decide to quit my job and focus on my own businesses, and that was the best decision I've ever made. I'm so happy now, and I think every day is just so fun because I get to do exactly what I want to do and also make money doing it. So that's the best of both worlds, I think. And I also get to spend time with my son, and I get to see every little thing that he does, which is just precious. So now starting from June, July, that's when my system really kind of evolved a little bit. I don't want to say change, because I don't think the way I plan necessarily changed. So now going into July-ish, June, I was just trying to kind of get used to the new lifestyle, and July was when I kind of settled down and revisited what I needed to update in terms of my planning system. So starting from July, I started to use my Hobonichi Cousin heavily. I used the weekly section as a time schedule. So I would color code my tasks based on the different aspects of my life, and I would plan out my day to hourly increments so that I know exactly what to do at what hour. But I also included added on this planner from Nolty. So this is 6501, and this type of planner is also called Listy 1. So this has a vertical weekly layout. So I bought this to use as a business / personal goal planner, because I just wanted a clean space where I can map out my goals and write down all the tasks I need to do in order to achieve my goals at the end of the year. Because I do this thing where I break down my goal from end of year goal all the way down to daily tasks. So I wanted a place where I can clearly lay out all of my goals into smaller chunks, so that when the time comes to plan out my weeks, I can reference my goal planner and know exactly what to do on that day. So that's what I've been using this as, and I have been dividing. So on the left hand side, I would divide up my life into different categories, and then I just ignore the timeline and I write out the tasks for each day using that role. So it's more of a matrix of my goals for different aspects of my life. So that was working out pretty well, but then I realized that what was happening was I was mainly focusing more on the business goals rather than the personal goals, because I would tend to put the business up top and then the personal will be at the bottom. And I just sort of ignored them, which is fine, because obviously when you're first starting out in your own journey of creating a business, you have to work so much harder than, you know, than later, just because you have no idea what you're doing at the beginning. So that's completely fine with me. But starting from the new year, I do want to also find a balance between personal goals and also business goals. So I have decided to use this strictly as my business goal planner. And that just works out so much better, because I'm much more focused when I'm in this planner trying to plan out my business. I don't have to simultaneously also think about my personal goals, which works out great. And I have decided to move my personal goals into my Hobonichi Cousin, and that will just allow me to use my Hobonichi Cousin even more fully, and I'm adding more functionality to my Hobonichi Cousin. So I'll talk about that a little bit later when I'm talking about my 2021 system. But I also have a video showing you guys exactly how I'm planning on using my Hobonichi Cousin in 2021. So definitely go check that video out if you're interested. So this Nolty planner basically ended up becoming a business planner, which is perfect. So I definitely need that. So this kind of replaced my work planner that strictly stayed at work. So that's what this is. And my Hobonichi weeks definitely came back, and I'm so glad I had this on hand, because I started using this as my pre-planning planner again, and this is so useful. So how I'm using this is I use this as a place where I can collect information throughout the day. It could be ideas, it could be a task that I need to do, because during the day I actually spend most of my time with my son, watching him by myself, so I'm not able to sit at my desk. But obviously everybody else's work hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So I still have information coming in and things I need to address, but I'm just not sitting in the front of the computer, so I can't address it right away. So this becomes a place where I can just quickly jot down all the things I need to address as soon as I get to the computer around, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So that's also how I'm using it. And I love the size of this. I love that it has hardcover. And I also am not upset if this gets dirty. I used to have a clear cover on top, but I have moved it to my new 2021 Hobonichi weeks. So that's why it's coverless right now, because I've already moved into my 2021 Hobonichi weeks. Anyway, so that's how I'm using this. And another way I'm using this is also as a brain dump notebook. So how I brain dump is, if it's something that is just purely ideas and has no timeline, then I just write them down all the way in the back, where I have 200 pages of blank pages that I can use for that. But say if my son's birthday is June 10th or whatever, and I need to probably start planning the birthday, say a month in advance, let's just say. So that would be May 10th. So if I was just sitting around and some kind of idea came up regarding the theme of the party, or the things I need to prep, the things I need to start ordering, then what I would do is I would just go to May 10th and start writing down those ideas. Even if right now it's December, I would just pre-fill, I'm just using that as an example, but I can just pre-fill on the day that I need to do something, so it's already there. And when that week comes around, I can see immediately that that was something that I have planned for myself from the past, right? So I can immediately know that's something I need to do. Instead of, I guess I can also put that in my Hobonichi Cousin, but I'm trying to use that more as a daily planner. So I'm only in that on a daily basis instead of using it as a pre-planner, because I do want to keep that sort of clutter-free and more as a record almost, slash also just daily, for daily planning, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if that makes sense to you guys, but that's how I'm using my Hobonichi weeks, and it's really helpful to brain dump on a calendar, because then I can just see it right away on the day of and not forget about it. So that's how I've been using my Hobonichi weeks. So to summarize, I have converted my A6 bullet journal into I have moved from A6 bullet journal to my Hobonichi Cousin in the second half of the year, because now I work for myself, so I'm completely fine with combining work with personal in one planner. So I do put my meetings, meeting notes, whatever, to-do list for work, and all of that will be appointments, all of that will be in my Hobonichi Cousin combined together. And my work planner, used to stay at work strictly, but since I quit my job, I have changed into this Nolty Listy 1 planner as my business goal planner. So that's just my work planner now. And Hobonichi Weeks has stayed the same. This is still my pre-planner. So this is the planner system that I am ending 2020 with. And now let me show you what I'm going into 2021 with. So as you can see, there's not much of a change. So the A5 Cousin, the Hobonichi Cousin will just be replaced with a new Hobonichi Cousin. So it's exactly the same. I will be using this cover at the beginning of the year, but I am definitely going to be switching my covers around just because I really like that. And I feel like when I'm in I really like that refresh when I change a cover, because it's kind of boring to be in the same cover for the whole year. That's just me. So whatever helps me to stay on top of my life, that's what I'm gonna do. So this is my work planner in 2021. So this is also from Nolty, but this is a B6 size planner and this is a A5 slim size planner. So now I have decided to change the size and layout because, okay, let me show you really quickly. So this is the Nolty planner that I used in 2020. This one has a vertical timeline type of layout for the weekly. This one, as you can see, it gives you much more flexibility in terms of how you want to use the weekly layout. So on top of it, it has the dates for the week, and then it gives you 2 blank spaces for each day. And then underneath that, you just have this huge blank space that you can do whatever you want to do with. So depending on what I'm doing that week, I can use this as a vertical layout weekly, or I can just use this to write down to-dos. I can use this for sketching. I can write this down to capture meeting minutes, important meeting minutes. And I can use this as a Gantt chart. Anything I want to do, I can do. So this is actually absolutely genius, this layout. I really, really love it. And the monthly is just very similar. It's just a monthly, and it has the dates over here. So I'm definitely going to be making a video on this. I just have to sort of figure out how I want to do that without exposing too much of my notes in here. So stay tuned for that video. I definitely want to show you guys how I'm using it, because I do get a lot of questions on that. So this is my Nolty planner for business planning for the new year. And I definitely, I mean, some people might say, why do you need a planner outside of the Hobonichi Cousin when it's already so packed with all different types of layouts? It's because I really just need a blank space where I can just think only about my business and make sure that all the days that I've scheduled for myself make sense, and I can actually come through with the things I wanted to do. Because I'm a one-woman show, if anything goes wrong, it's completely 100% on me. And if things go well, then it's also because I did well. And it's just extremely important for me to plan everything out completely and accurately and in the most logical way. So that's why I do really need an additional planner outside of Hobonichi Cousin, because Hobonichi Cousin has everything. It has my personal appointments, personal to-do list, family to-do list, family appointments. It has everything. It's super, super cluttered. So that's why I need an additional planner just for business. Then my Hobonichi Weeks, I'll be using this as a pre-planner. Again, exactly the same way that I have used it in 2020. So that hasn't changed. So you can see that I'm moving on into my new year using these 3 planners, exactly the same as how I'm ending 2020 with. So I'm really pleased with that. So let me move on to the journaling system. So now, at the beginning of 2020, I started the year with my A5 Hobonichi 5-year diary. This started from 2019, so that I purchased this in the year that my son was born, and that's why I purchased this. I believe that was the first year they released this notebook, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I purchased this in an A6, and I will be obviously moving into 2021 with the same planner, same journal. And then I also had this baby journal that I started when I found out I was pregnant. So it's basically just like a photo journal with my son's photos. This is in a A5 Stylogy, and as you can see, this is getting really, really chunky, and I don't even think I can use the second part of this notebook, so I'm not going to. But this basically lasts it spans from when I found out I was pregnant all the way until the end of 2019. And so that's the baby journal that I had. And in addition to that, I also had a personal journal, which is in this A6 Stylogy. This is just like my personal, whatever, stream of consciousness, whatever you want to call it, journal. And in addition to that, I also had a notebook that I used to write down my favorite passages from the books I was reading, mostly like self-help book, nonfiction and such. So I really enjoyed that, and I would highlight things that I really liked in a book. So that's how I was using my book journal. So this is also in A6 Stylogy. So these are all A6 Stylogies. And then I did really fall out of love with the Stylogy notebooks. You can see that at one point of time, I did think Stylogy was the best notebook ever until I discovered Nanami notebook, which has Tomoe River paper. The Stylogy does not have Tomoe River paper, and I just really prefer the Tomoe River paper over Stylogy paper, and that's just my personal opinion. There's no right or wrong. So anyway, that's kind of the planner, the journaling system that I had for the beginning of 2020. And so these two are mostly for Sterling, he's my son, and these two are for personal. One is for personal journal, and then one is just for writing down favorite passages from books that I was reading. So now I did fall behind with the book journal just because, as I said, I started my own businesses and I was really focusing full time on that, and I really just didn't have any energy to read books, or like my mind was just somewhere else. I didn't even think about reading books or anything. So I did fall behind with that. So I don't feel bad about it, but I do want to get back into it in 2021. And I will talk a little bit about that in a second. So the personal journal is fine, but like I said, I did fall out of love with Stylogy notebooks. So what happened was, for the family portion of documenting kind of our memories, I decided to purchase another Hobonichi Cousin, and I basically wanted something that had more structure so I can use this to kind of remind me to keep on filling it. Because what happened with this was, because I had no dates in this notebook, I felt okay with like just falling behind with it. Whereas if I had the dates, I feel like I have to make sure that I fill it out, or it's just going to be blank and I can't reuse it, right? So I did make a video on how I use this planner as a family journal, and so this is just strictly like photos, mostly in the daily portion, and then in the weekly portion I just use this as a place to kind of write down fun things that happen throughout the day. And normally I just have this sort of open on the kitchen counter, where Sterling can't really reach yet because it's much higher up. So I just have this open, and I'll just like write down some interesting things that happened that he did, or you know, just fun things throughout the day. So that's what I fill out. And in the monthly, I just do a day of, sorry, no, that's the weekly. And then in the monthly section, I just do a photo of the day. And then in the yearly, I just sort of recap kind of what happened. So obviously I need to do a better job backfilling this, because I did fall behind a little bit, but I do have all the photos documented and saved in a folder. So all I have to do is just like print them out. So I have been printing the photos using my personal printer and my inkjet printer, which prints much better than the Canon Selfie that I used for this notebook. And because I'm using sticker paper, really good sticker paper, the quality is great, but it also takes up much less space in terms of the thickness of the paper. So I think it will work out much better. And I think when my cousin goes on vacation in December for Christmas, I'm going to take out a few days to just like backfill the whole thing. And I'm confident I can do that, because first I have to do it, and second, when I actually give myself a task for the whole day to do, I can actually complete it. So that's what I'm gonna do at the end of this year. I'll let you guys know how that goes. But I am going to be moving into 2021 with the same exact system as well. And the 5-year notebook, 5-year journal. This takes like no time to fill at all, and I stayed pretty much on top of this. Some days I didn't fill out because either I was too tired or there was like nothing notable to fill. So that's how I'm using this. So I'm moving into 2021 with the same system, same planner. So now the changes are made in the personal journal and book journal. So moving into 2021, I will be using this Nolty Gold planner as a personal journal. So this is a really fancy little planner with lambskin on top as the cover, and the pages are gilded. It has a gilded edge, which is really, really beautiful. Obviously, you can get planners like this with gilded edge or notebooks with real leather in America as well, from American companies as well, such as Graphic Image makes them in all different sizes. So you can definitely get those if you want to. You don't have to go to a Japanese, you don't have to go to Amazon Japan to order this specific planner, obviously. But I just really fell in love with the color of the paper, the feel of the paper, and how it handles fountain pen. So I did purchase this, and I just absolutely love this little thing, and I will be just using this as a place to write down things I was grateful for, things I was inspired by, those little mundane moments that brought me joy throughout the day with my son, with my husband, so that sort of thing. And basically how I use it is I will be just starting out my journal from the left where the dates are, and then if I need more space, I just spill into this blank page. And the only thing I don't like about this planner is that it has no grids here, which is, I don't know about you, but I have a hard time writing straight and writing evenly. So I just keep this little page that I cut out from my Nanami paper notebook, which is the little, like the maroon bullet journal that I was showing you, this one. So I just cut out one of the pages from there, and I've been keeping it inside this planner. So when I'm writing here, I can just slide it behind, and I find that the grid size works really well for me. So it's really subtle, and I can see the grid, so I can write more evenly here. So that's how I'm using this as my personal journal. And I do have an additional A5 size notebook that I use as a journal as well, but it's almost more like a notebook where I just, if I felt like writing more, if I was feeling like I had a lot of things to write down, then I just use that notebook to write more things. But this is mainly for positive things, things I was grateful for, milestones, that sort of thing. So this is just like a little positivity journal. Now, where was I? Okay, so the last thing in my journaling system is the book journal. So in 2020, at the beginning of 2020, I was using this little A6 as my book journal, where I would write down my favorite passages from the books I was reading. And at the time I was reading mostly like self-help book, or things that would motivate me, or nonfiction. But moving on to 2021, I would like to read more fiction, and I do really love reading fiction and classics. So I already created a reading list for 2021, which I'm really, really excited about. So I think I might do a video on just like reading in general, just to kind of put it out there that these are my goals, and so I can hold myself accountable at the end of the year. And I might do like a little checkup with you guys monthly on what I've read and how I use my book journal, and share that with you guys. So this is my A6 Hobonichi Techo original. This is the Japanese version. So I did share with you guys how I'm going to be using this little planner as my book journal. So definitely check that video out if you're interested. I'll link that down below. So I actually started my reading goals this month. So I started reading a lot more than I have been this year. And here I'll show you like kind of how I used it. This page I am just so the yearly at a glance. This page I'm using to just write down what I've read, which pages I've read, and then going into the monthly view, I'm using this to write down word of the day. So previously in the setup video, I said that if you sign up with dictionary.com or whatever, they'll send you word of the day to your email. But I actually went ahead and downloaded the app. It's called Word of the Day, and it just collects word of the day from all these different sources like dictionary.com or Oxford English Dictionary, and I think there's also Wikipedia, I think. Anyway, so it's just from different sources, and they'll collect all the word of the day. And what I do is I just select something that looks interesting, and I just write it here, and I write it out in script form, script font, and then I just write out the definition down at the bottom. And I have been using different ink using my fountain pen, and this is just going to be a place where I learn new words or revisit old words, find out more interesting words I have no idea existed, and also practice my handwriting, practice my script, and practice my and use my favorite fountain pen with different fountain pen inks. So that's the new thing in 2021. I want to use different fountain pen inks in the new year. So that's how I'm using that monthly page. And then in the daily pages, I will be using this to kind of write my favorite passages, quotes, and I will be writing it down under the date that I actually read it. But obviously some days it might be blank, but I'm sure a lot of the days I will need to write more than one page. So I don't think that will be a problem. And at the end of this notebook, I wasn't sure how I was going to use the grid pages here, so at first I said maybe I'll write a little review of the books I've read, but since making that video of the setup of this planner, I have actually decided that I wanted to, at the end of reading a book, I want to actually type up a little review of myself and then kind of attach it to the notebook in the back, just like with a clip, or just slide it in with the book. So I won't be doing that here. Obviously it's like much harder to handwrite that stuff, so I'll be typing that up, and instead I will be using, instead of using this as a place to review the books, I will be using this to write out the new vocabs I have learned while reading the book. So that'll be interesting, because I did used to have a notebook, just a thin notebook that I bought from Penguin Paper Co. I think they also have, they make Tomai River paper notebooks that are much thinner, so more like Moleskine Kahie, is that how you say it? Sort of like traveler's journal type of notebooks. So I use that as a place where I write down new words I learned, but here this is going to be that one place where I can write down the new vocabs I learned. And something else I thought of for this notebook is up here. I'm actually going to write, each day I'm going to write an idiom in Chinese. So in Chinese language, they have these idioms that are packed into 4 characters. So most of them are made up of 4 characters, and I don't know if you're familiar with Chinese language, but each character has a lot of meaning attached to it. So 4 characters can actually tell a story in a very quick way. So as soon as you see those 4 character idioms, you know exactly the story behind it, and it's just so cool. And I don't know that many of them, so I also have an app for the Chinese idioms, so I will be writing that on top for each day along with the word of the day, so I can freshen up my Chinese because I haven't been writing in Chinese in so long. I feel like I'm losing it a little bit, so I'll be doing that. I think it's the perfect space to do that. So now that's my new journaling sort of system for 2021. So I'm using the Hobonichi Cousin as my family journal, photo journal, and where I document the daily happenings, mostly with my son. I won't be including things related to me or my husband in here. That will just be more in my own journal or in my gratitude journal. And the A5, no, I keep on calling this A5, but this is the 5-year A6 size journal. So I'm just going to be using it the same way I've been using it previously, just writing down whatever happened that day. And so far I've been leaving the right hand side blank because, as you can tell, I write really small and I haven't needed to go into that page. But I think this is going to be the perfect place where once my son is a little bit older, I think starting from next year, he might be able to draw some stuff. So I can just ask him to go into it and just draw whatever he can, squiggle, whatever. And I'll just write the date and who drew it. If I have more kids, then they can also draw in it too. So I think that would be a nice space for that. So that's how I'm going to be using my 5-year. And I have my personal journal. This is my gratitude journal. Actually, this is like plenty of space for me to write daily, because I do write really small, as you can tell, I write so small. So this is plenty of space for me. So I'll be using that as a personal journal. And then this is my A6 size Hobonichi Techo that I will be using as my book journal, reading notebook, and also write down word of the day, study Chinese idioms, learn new words. So that's how I'm going to be using this. So that's my journaling system moving into 2021. So now I want to talk a little bit about the things that have been added or changed since 2020. So the first thing I'm going to show you is my reference binder. So my reference binder, I don't really consider this as my planner per se, but this is more of, I treat it like a three ring binder. You know, when you're in school, you have different subjects in it. That's exactly how I treat this. It has no dates or anything. So if you watched my videos before, you know that I use this as a personal development binder. That's how it started. Early in 2019 for 2019 setup. That's how I set this up. So it had side business ideas, so the things I want to learn, inspiration and goals, family section, sterling section, finance section. Yeah, so that's how I was using this. So this was one binder for all of different aspects of my life, and I called this my brain, and this is my headquarter. I just organized my brain in this form so that I can document, archive ideas in here, and when the time comes, I can go into it and look it up and pick up where I left off. So that's how I was using this. And now what has happened was some of the sections have actually become real businesses that are taking off. So that's one thing that happened. And like at the time when I made this binder, when I created this binder and set up this binder, I felt more like one person where I just needed to focus on myself. If that makes sense, because I did set it up before my son was born. So at the time of just myself, everything was personal to me. But now what's happening is that some of my sections have become real businesses. So that's the business side of me. And then there's also personal goals in here. And then there's also family things, which are much more than when it was before we had a child. So, which was fine to have this all in one binder. But in 2021, one of my goals is to kind of strike a balance among all the different hats that I have to wear. So the businesswoman hat and the personal, just like my own person hat, and then also a mom and a wife and just a member of the family. So I do want to find a balance, and I feel like I don't want to just be about family and business. I also want to focus on my own goals, my personal goals, the things I want to learn, my hobbies, things I want to improve on, my personal dreams and inspiration outside of work and outside of family. So I really want to also focus on those things and not, you know, let that go. And that is something that's very important to me. So in the new year, I decided to actually split this up into 3 binders. So this personal size binder will only be for my personal goals, personal development, things I want to learn, hobbies and such. Self-care, everything related to myself. So that's going to be here. And little personal projects that I set up for myself, all of that will be here. And if you're curious, I just purchased a bunch of lined and gridded inserts from Life Notebook. So they have these pre-punched, pre-cut paper, and these papers are so beautiful. Like they're thin, but not thin like the Tomoe River paper thin, but it's really smooth. It reminds me more of the Midori notebook paper, but these are completely fountain pen free. I don't have to cut and punch them, which is lovely. And all I need is line paper and grid paper in here. And I have cleaned this out, so I only have those sections pertaining to my life, my personal life. And I will be shifting those blank pages forward into those sections as needed. So that's how I'm using this. And this is the inner binder of the Miyakara cover from Gilio. So if you're interested, that's what it is. And then I have split my business portion of my binder into my A6 Mulberry ring binder. So I have already started setting this up. I'm almost done. Some of these pages, loose pages, are from my ring binder. So I just have to either transfer them or see if these are the things I absolutely need for later. So I'm still kind of trying to clean this up. but this is just my A6 ring binder, and it has the two businesses I have in here. So that's what I'm going to be using this for. And most of the information here are for reference, and also collection of ideas, collection of projects, and the product launch and things like that. So all of the reference materials are here, and these are not to-do related or task related. These are more collection of ideas and contacts and passwords, admin information and such. So and then this is the last one. This is a Pocket Excel Campania from Giglio Firenze as well, and I have originally been using this as a wallet. So this I use this page lifter to kind of separate the pages from the pockets for my credit cards, and then I end with that just to protect the leather a little bit. And these ones I got from Amazon Japan, and they're from this brand called Knox, Knox, and they make ring binders actually, and planner covers, I think. So I did purchase this. It came as a set of 2, and I really like this. This is really thin, it's soft but also sturdy. I did purchase some from another shop on Etsy, I won't name who, but I was pretty shocked by the quality because it's no different from this to me. It was so thin, it's pretty much just like useless. I don't know, it was disappointing. So I bought them from Amazon Japan. These work out perfectly. And also so I have also placed in inserts that I bought from Life. In here it's also grid and line paper, and that's the majority of inserts I use. So this planner actually is going to be a combination of family and finance. So it's going to have information pertaining to my family members, medical information, finance information for our family, and also what else? We have a few rental properties, so we'll be using this to kind of manage that as well. So I think this is a perfect size because a lot of times I take this out as a wallet, and it does have the information I need on the go, so it'll be perfect. Now, I think this is a perfect time to kind of bring in the last portion of this video, or actually not the last, but the last bits of planners I'll be using for next year. I say planners, but these are really for record keeping notebooks. So these are the 3 things that I have added in this year's system that is different from what I started 2020 with. So the first thing I want to show you is this little notebook. This is a planner, dated planner, and you can see that this has the exact same layout as my business planner, which is, it just has a small section for the dates, and then you have this huge section of blank grid space where you can just write out whatever you want, and you can format it however you want to. So how I'm using this is I use this as a on-the-go planner / notebook. So I might write down notes under here, or I might write down things I need to information I need to have for when I'm going out shopping. So here I wrote out the length of the molding that I needed for our living room. We are redoing our living room at the moment. So that's what I wrote down. I have grocery list. And now on top, I write down my expense tracking. So I write down the money I spent. Most of it has to do with like the money I spent. My husband's really good with spending money, so I don't have to worry about him. It's mostly me, and I'm just kind of keeping track of like if I'm buying something stupid, or you know, just want to be more responsible with the little things I buy here and there. So I'm just tracking that on top. And it's also another place where I can track the spending for little projects like redoing our home, redoing our apartment. So I write out the dates, and then I write out what I bought for that project. And then I think I will go in and highlight the items that are related to the project. And I did kind of added those items up separately from the monthly spending, so I can see exactly how much I spent on the little project that we are doing in our living room. So that's how I'm using this, and then I just tally up how much I spent at the end of this week. So as you can see, most of that was the living room, and then just a little bit extra with like groceries and whatnot. So that's that. And then the monthly sections, I just write down important dates, and also I would just quickly jot down like when big things happen in terms of finance. So I did write down when we bought what for what project. So I'm going to be color coding them so I can see them right away, because sometimes we're like, when did we buy that? How much did we spend? When was the last time we purchased this? Blah, blah, blah. So that's how I'm going to be using the monthly section. And that's how I'm going to be using this basically. And sometimes I do also write down like the positive things I have done in order, like for example, like instead of buying another book, I just decided to check out the local library ebook selections, and I was able to find that book. So instead of buying it, I got it for free. So it's just something that I can tap my shoulder and, you know, say good job for not spending that $10. So that's how I'm going to be using this. And this is perfect. Normally I just carry this by itself in my tiny bag, and a lot of people were telling me that they use Hobonichi Weeks exactly like this. But Hobonichi Weeks I love, but it's also too much space for me. As you can see, I write really small, and also it doesn't fit into my favorite bag, which I carry around all the time. Unlike planners, I actually don't switch out my bags that often. I just carry the one bag all the time with me. I have like a few bags, but I always carry the same bag. Anyway, so whereas the planner covers I like to switch around, and I have a lot of them, as you can see. But this is actually the perfect size to slide into this if I chose to use this as my wallet someday. So that's perfect here. So that's one of the things I added in 2021. And these two are Hobonichi Weeks, and these are the regular weeks, so it's not super thick. It's not the mega model. So I'm using these as a record keeping books for my two businesses. So what I use this for is I can flip to a page that I didn't write on because I don't want to share too much. So how I'm using this is on the left side, I just write down income from different streams for that business. And in the middle, I just tally up everything here. And on the right hand side, I just write out the expenses of that that I had on those specific days. So on the left section, that's where I kind of just use for financing, like finance information, income and expenses. And on the right hand side, I just, under each day, I just quickly write down what I did that day. And you can see this as a finance record and also as a timesheet, because then I can see how much time I spent on things, and I can recognize some patterns, and hopefully that will become helpful for me. And then in the monthly section, I will just be writing down, kind of tracking like my social media growth maybe, and also milestones and any notable things that happened that month, and whether I met my goals or just like a summary of the month. And in the notes section, I'll be writing down sort of like final decisions, products launched, results from them, just doing a little recap, and also writing down kind of lessons learned, things to improve on, accomplishments and such. So that's how I'll be using this. And I have two different businesses, so I'll be doing that in each notebook. So this is Sterling Ink and this is the other one. So that's how I've been using this. Okay, so the last part of this video, I want to just quickly talk about my planner routine. Because as you can see, I am using a lot of notebooks, but in my opinion, I need every single one of them. And it is not a burden for me to use them. A lot of people are telling me, a lot of people are asking me like, gosh, how much time do you spend on these and maintaining all these notebooks? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that because I have started using most of the notebooks that I'm showing you for 2021 already, because they have the December portion already in the planners. So I will just go through kind of my typical planner routine for you guys. So, okay, so once a week, I plan, so, okay, first let me start with this. So this is my, this is my brain dump. I'm drawing a blank because I've been talking for so long, sorry. So this is my brain dump. So I have this with me all day when I'm with my son, and I just brain dump in it, I write down ideas, whatever. So this has all of that here. And once a week, so this is, I write down in this every day during the day. So that's how I use that. And then once a week, I'll plan out my business. Once a month, I lay out sort of the schedule for the month. And then once a week, I will just map out the week based on the monthly schedule. And then I write out like big to-do items down here. And as I'm doing that, I'm also referencing my brain dump just to make sure that I have captured all the different things I wanted to do for that month and that week. So this, I'm in like basically once a month, maximum twice a month to plan this out. So that in terms of planning. And then going into my actual work day, which starts in the afternoon. For me, I am in this Hobonichi Cousin laid out on my desk. So during the day, I actually kind of reference my weekly page where I did lay out the schedule for the day. So even if I'm just with my son, I might just like reference this just to make sure that I am capturing all the tasks that I need to get done during the day. And then at the start of the workday, I will be mainly in the daily pages, and this is where I used to write down notes, meeting minutes, ideas, and everything here. And I just kind of quickly look at my brain dump just to make sure that I have captured everything. If there was a to-do, then I just want to make sure I'm doing those things. If a customer messaged me about something that was missing or there was something wrong with an order, I need to address that right away. So that's how I'm using so I have my Cousin open pretty much throughout my workday. And that's sort of the only planner that I use during my work hours. So now let's say, oh, another thing is my family journal. So my family journal is this, which is another Cousin. I just normally have the weekly portion of that family journal open during the day on my kitchen counter, so I can just quickly fill out whatever I need to that happened in terms of memory keeping there. So that's kind of addressed during the day. So now once my work day is over, I start my shutdown routine each day. And this is where it's actually really interesting. So during my shutdown routine, here are the things I do. I review the day, make sure I checked off all the to-do list, and if not, I move the tasks to another day or another week. And then I go into my planners to kind of just like make sure that I'm updating them according to the latest events, and then I plan the next days, right? So after that, okay, let me just show you kind of how this goes down. So after my work day, first I go into, I check my weekly to-do list, the daily to-do list, just to make sure everything is checked off. Then I check my brain dump just to make sure, just do one more sweep to make sure that I have checked off everything and things are in its proper places, and everything has been captured in my Hobonichi weeks. And then I just do a double check on in my work planner just to make sure everything is checked off, just like one more time. And then if there's like a deadline that I need to move, then or if there's a meeting that was canceled, then I just go into the monthly and shift them or cancel them, whatever, just so I can make sure that the monthly is updated at all times. So that's what I do. And after I'm done with all of that, then I check for what I'm supposed to do on the next day. So I can fill out my weekly schedule, the day in the weekly spread based on those to-do lists in my business planner. So that's how I'm using this. And so once I'm done with all of that, that kind of completes my workday for real. Then I move on to my record keeping books and just fill out income, expenses, what I did that day for this business and for that business. So that's what I do. Then I go into my little book and just write out personal expense, just so I can stay on top of that. And that's that. And then after that, that's kind of like the logistics of the day. And then after that, what I do is I go into my 5-year journal just to quickly write down what happened that day. Most of the things are related to my son. I can reference my photos that I took throughout the day, or I can look at my family journal in the weekly section where I wrote down what happened that day to just quickly summarize that in my 5-year journal. So that takes me maybe like 3 minutes. After that, I go into my personal journal and just write out something that that was memorable that day. And it's been a really good exercise because it forces me to kind of find the good in every day, which is lovely. So that's something I fill out, which takes me like 5 minutes. So it probably takes me less because I actually timed everything for you guys because I get so many questions like, how much time do you spend on these? So I actually timed myself several times during the past 2 weeks. And what's actually surprising is that on average, I spend 20 minutes starting from reviewing the day, planning the next day, filling out my record keeping books, filling out my personal expense book, filling out the family journals, filling out my personal journal. This takes me 20 minutes. And that is only achieved when I'm completely away from my computer. I don't look at my phone. I don't open my iPad. I'm like strictly focused on this. And it just goes on, it goes by so quickly. I'm so focused, and the whole thing I can finish the whole thing in 20 minutes. So yeah, there you go. Like, it doesn't take that much time. But this is just how I choose to stay organized. And it's very enjoyable for me. It's not a burden at all. I really, really absolutely enjoy that process. So now after I'm done with that, I'm like completely done with all of my notebooks, and I'm like, okay, now I'm like up to date, and this is me time now. So then I start reading my book and, you know, write down like word of the day here, and if I need to, just like write out, copy down some passages I liked, and that's just like enjoy time. And then I just go, you know, take a shower or whatever, and then go to sleep. That's it. So that's my shutdown routine. So that, I hope that answers your questions regarding, you know, how much time I spent on the notebooks. And if you're wondering about the ring binders, so the ring binders, I am not in them all the time. So the family binder, like once it's filled, I don't need to update it unless like we went to the doctor for my son, and then the doctor says something, or like if he's stat changed, then I just fill it in once, like every 3 months, I guess. And finance, I just kind of go into it once a month just to check things off. So I'm not in this like all the time. The work binder, I just, during the workday, if there's something, an idea that needs to be archived away, then I just do it during the workday, which is very easy. I'm not writing down things word for word. It's just like summarizing what my thoughts were in my brain dump. And in my personal binder, I mean, this is just like same thing again. As I'm working on one of those sections, I will probably have it open and like write down a few words based on what my thoughts were, or reference this while I'm using when I'm working on those areas. So yeah, so these are very much integrated into the times when I'm actually doing those things. So it's not like I have to sit down and like spend hours just like updating it. It's not like that at all. So yeah, so this is just my whole system for 2021, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. I personally love watching people's planner system and just like really get into how they think, how their systems have evolved based on their life changes. So I really enjoyed that, and that's why I'm sharing this with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that as well. So I hope everyone is set with their 2021 system, and of course we know that things will change. I hope things will change in 2021 for the better, and I really hope you guys are get to enjoy your 2021 planners very soon. So happy weekend. I hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.